Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, May 12th, around 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. The G3 geomagnetic storm was a complete fizzle for space weather watchers, aurora watchers, as well as forecasters as well. More to come on the grand solar minimum sun. The big story, tornado outbreak hits the plains. More severe weather in the forecast. Keep calm. It's boom time. Over 24 tornadoes were reported across the plains Thursday and Friday, and large tornadoes rolling through the plains cause, well, not so much severe damage, which is good news. The Storm Prediction Center received initial reports of more than 36 tornadoes on Friday from Nebraska and Kansas, according to the National Weather Service. Meteorologists will be tasked at determining the ratings on the enhanced Fujita scale. Multiple extremely dangerous tornadoes touching down in Nebraska. A large tornado was spotted spinning with intensity in the Nebraska field on Friday afternoon as several tornadic storms impacted the state. We're waiting for any damage details. We didn't see much, which is good news. Now, there is a severe weather risk for large hail and damaging winds overnight, so heads up. This is all as the weather patterns shift dramatically. So all the weather patterns over the last 3 years are going to be erased with new patterns due to the El Nino forecast, which is going to be rapidly increasing over the next 30 days. We've already reached the El Nino threshold, April, May, June, and according to all the data, we will be in El Nino from June until the winter. And that is going to be interesting. Here is the sea surface temperature that's triggering that strong El Nino. Warm weather here, warm temperatures in the equatorial region is much different than the 3-year pattern we've been seeing. Here is the Nino 3.4 regional monthly average sea surface temperature anomalies, and you can see how El Nino is above this threshold, La Nina below this threshold, and we've been in a triple dip La Nina for 3 years. And the forecast is expected to spike up like one of these ENSO maximums. Maximum El Nino like back in 1998 or perhaps 2016. So it will be an interesting setup with extreme monsoonal moisture for the desert Southwest. Now, a lot of people have been seeing disinformation on the internet about a tornado touching down on the top of a mountain. Well, if you just did 5 minutes of research, you would know two things. That tornadoes do not touch down on mountains. They are associated with shear flow, high winds on flat areas, which is why they happen in the plains. And in fact, this tornado was in the flat here, not on the mountaintops. So anyone claiming otherwise is simply a charlatan, in my opinion. You can check out the RFD spraying snow on the backside of this tornado, which is in the valley. And on the backside, you can see it dumping snow in the mountains here on this amazing footage. We'll just refresh that. There you can see the snow column in the rear of the system and the funnel cloud, which is clearly in the valley. And this is coming from Reed Timmer, PhD. I trust Reed more than anyone. He literally drives into the middle of these tornadoes. And he says, check out this snow spraying in the mountains behind the tornado. The tornado cyclone is just east of the mountains in the plains. This is an example of straight line winds on the mountains rather than closed rotation with the tornado cyclone. The tornado is just in front of the mountains and not on top of them, as people suggest. And that is just the unfortunate nature of people that are looking for clicks on the interwebs. They don't do their homework. And they don't expect you to do your homework either. Here is the snow weather pack, which is epic. This is some of the highest snowpack at this time in May in decades, maybe ever for some regions out here in the Southwest. We have over 500% of normal, 4,000% of normal in parts of Arizona. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And all this snow, 835% of normal in parts of Western Nevada. That is some big totals. And all this snow needs to still come down into the rivers. And that means Lake Tulare will be filling, as well as all of the reservoirs. Here we're looking at Lake Powell continuing to fill in a vertical fashion. Lake Mead rapidly rising over 10 feet in the last 2 weeks. And that will continue through the summer without bummer. By tomorrow, we will reach the threshold where Lake Mead passes last year's levels at this time, and that's good news for Lake Mead. Now, if you don't know, Lake Mead is downhill of Lake Powell, which is currently filling at 55,000 cubic feet per second and is rising over a foot a day. This will continue for months, and if they just want to add water to Lake Mead, all they have to do is release water from Lake Powell because it's above Lake Mead. Here's the forecast. Severe weather and flash flood potential for portions of the plains. Heat for the west. Summer-like temperatures are expected throughout the weekend in areas of the Pacific Northwest into interior California, where new daily record high temperatures may be set. For the central and southern plains, severe thunderstorms, excessive rainfall threats continue with large hail. A few tornadoes are forecast in the mid-Missouri Valley, including central Oklahoma and Texas, the nexus of the Schmexis. Biggest threat is for severe weather and flooding in South Texas. And we'll take a look at that right now at the GFS total accumulated precipitation map. And here, if we just take a look at southern Texas, we're looking at 14 inches or more over a large area, and this is through May 20th. That's just in the next 8 days. Let's run this through as that heavy rain hits Texas. Through the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday, there is already that flood threat where there could be 12 to 14 inches in some areas in just the next 3 days. There also could be a flood threat here on the state line of Oklahoma and North Texas, where they could receive up to 5 inches of rain by Monday morning. So heads up in those regions. Now, winter arrives early in New Zealand. We've been talking about this all week. Records continue to sweep Australia as the Czech Republic is exceptionally cold. Holy macaroni. Ski resorts near Queenston received as much as half a meter on Wednesday alone, and they are ready for the ski season, which doesn't start for a few weeks here. The impressive accumulations have seen the Magnui ski area located in New Zealand's North Island open its slopes on May 12th. That's today. They opened early. So it set a new club record for the earliest opening ever. How do you like them apples? Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. He can't even believe it. The previous record was May 16th back in 2009, which was 2 solar cycles ago, by the way, during a solar minimum. Club spokesman Rob Needs could hardly believe it. There's a lot of excitement, he said. It's insane. It's so early. It's certainly not what we're used to. Global warming, in fact, has been canceled. Grand solar minimum much? Look at them playing in the snow. Ho, ho, ho. The most snow and the earliest opening in New Zealand in recorded history. Did I say that correctly? And they are dancing in the snow. 2 quakes shake Northern California in less than 12 hours apart. Holy macaroni. Now, did you know that yesterday's quake at 5.5 magnitude struck just 10 years exactly after the 5.7 trembler that rocked the same area? Could this be a solar cycle related quake? Well, it's lining up to be. Yeah, it's true. Yesterday's 5.5 earthquake centered near Chester brought back memories of a quake that occurred in the same area roughly 10 years ago. After searching the archives, we discovered that it occurred on Thursday, May 23rd, 2013, and it was a 5.7 magnitude quake. It also was followed by a strong aftershock, such as was experienced in this series of quakes. Now that could just be coincidence, or it could be something more. Here we can see the quake in question and some of those aftershocks up there in Northern California. Overall, no quakes of note worldwide, except for that one yesterday. Krakatoa has seen an uptick, and we've been reporting on it. After almost 1 month of relative calm, the volcano entered an elevated eruptive stage as it has produced several eruptions from the cinder cone over the past few days. No other quakes of note. Space weather news update. Yeah, the G3 geomagnetic storms. Well, it was a dud at G1, barely producing any aurora because it happened at peak time where on Earth everyone was lit up. And again, we have no aurora in the forecast, low KP index, and all is quiet on telemetry, except for a long duration C flare that has just occurred. It's been lasting about 4 hours. It's probably a filament release, in our opinion. We haven't checked the telemetry, but that is a long duration flare in the upper C range. And let's read what SolarHam has to say about the CME. So far, geomagnetic activity has remained fairly quiet. Only a minor enhancement, KP3, observed. Well, actually, it got the KP 5.3. 5.3 was the max, which is G1. And so, very embarrassing forecast for those people that get paid a lot of money to do it. Here is Discover Solar Wind showing a little bit of a shakeup in the phi angle here. BZ is becoming normalized. Density is standardized. Speed has dropped down below 500, and all is quiet on telemetry. Now, it's not quiet up into the upper stratosphere. Mysterious rumblings were recorded there. And this is quite an interesting story. Strange sounds were recorded high in Earth's atmosphere, and it has scientists baffled. Now, what they determined, and here is the press release from the 11th of May. Solar-powered balloons detect mysterious sounds in the stratosphere. Imagine if sending your science experiment 70,000 feet in the air just took painter's plastic tape, a dash of charcoal dust, and plenty of sunlight. But in the end, you record some mysterious sounds. I do believe we have... Let's listen. Absolutely baffling the scientists. A microphone on this particular study heard these strange sounds that repeat a few times per hour. And they were, in fact, well, unidentified. The source has yet to be identified. The sounds were recorded in the infrasound range. That means below the range where humans can hear, meaning they were from frequencies of 20 hertz and lower. Now, some animals can hear it, like dogs and cats, but not humans. It's well below the range of the human ear. There are mysterious infrasound signals that occur a few times per hour on some flights, but the source of these is completely unknown, according to Daniel Boma of Sandia National Laboratories. So, bizarre things happening up in the middle stratosphere, and we're recording them. And all the links will be below. Now, there's a quick side note here. All of this data is coming from inexpensive and easy to build data collecting balloons that are capturing these low frequency sound waves. The only problem is NASA's been shooting down balloons in record numbers without ever identifying their purpose. So there is that. Well, actually, it's the US government. More embarrassing. Astronomers spot the largest cosmic explosion ever witnessed, and it's been going on for years. And it's still news. And it should be. This illustration depicts nothing except the fantasies of the people who illustrated it. But according to the fantasy picture people, it depicts a growing black hole as it gobbles up gas, dust, and cosmic material. Which, by the way, has nothing to do with the largest cosmic explosion ever witnessed. I just want to point that out. Thank you, CNN. Now, astronomers have spotted the largest cosmic explosion ever witnessed, and it's 10 times brighter than any known exploding star or supernova, which is a redundancy or an oxymoron because they're the same fucking thing. The brightest of the explosions is called AT 2021 1WX. It has lasted for 3 years, while most supernovas are only bright for a few months. The event, still being detected by telescopes, occurred 8 billion light years away from Earth, when the universe was just, according to the experts, 6 billion years old. Now, the luminosity of the explosion is also 3 times brighter than tidal disruption events, when stars fall into supermassive black holes, another fairy tale. So clearly, nobody has any idea what's going on 8 billion light years away, which means a very, very long time ago. Ho ho. More recently, and in our own neck of the woods, a Chinese Mars rover sends back images of recent water-shaped crusts on Mars. Maybe Elon knows something we don't. Now, these scientists claim that within the last million years, as early as 400,000 years ago, melted snow might have damped Mars's sand and created these features. What say you? Just as they have no explanation for these subparallel cracks on the surface of the Martian surface, they have no explanation for these deep incised channels either. But it is my supposition that there is a deep aquifer underneath of this layer of rock, which at some point in the recent past melted and sent water out into these channels, almost like a jaculips or a subsurface glacier, similar to Iceland. What do you say, NASA? I think I got you. Now, they want us to trust the science, but trust me, trusting the science is dubious at best. Fake scientific papers are alarmingly common, and here is a paper exposing that fact. According to an article posted by science.org, fake scientific papers are alarmingly common. When neuropsychologist Bernard Sable put his new fake paper detector to work, he was shocked by what he found. After screening some 5,000 papers, he estimates that 34% of neuroscience papers published in the year 2020 were made up or plagiarized. And in medicine, the figure was 24%. That's 1 out of 4 papers in medicine that are fake. Both numbers, which he and his colleagues report in MedRx reprint posted on 8th of May, were well above levels they calculated for 2010 and far larger than the 2% baseline estimated in a 2022 Publishers Group report. Yeah, that means the 2022 Publishers Group report was off by a factor of 10. That's logarithmic, when in fact over 20% of all papers are fake. 34% of neuroscience papers in a single year, fake. And 24% in medicine, fake. So, should we trust the science or should we do our own homework? I do digress. You are living the nightmare. And why the current U.S. recession warnings are unlike all the others? Well, because the empire is collapsing. But in layman's terms, economic experts are once again ringing the alarm bells over an imminent downturn. A U.S. recession is coming, they say, in the second half of 2023. That time frame begins less than 3 weeks from now. I hope you're buying precious metals. I hope you're getting into the crypto game and taking your money out of those banks as they fail. There's another way to prepare. This one is guaranteed to bring results. It gives you food that lasts for 25 years, which means you can eat it any time from now into 2050. That's a pretty good hedge, pretty good peace of mind. If you come over to preparewiththeranch.com, you can simply purchase our 3-month emergency food supply and you will receive $200 of free survival gear along with it. You can't beat that. It's a limited availability. It comes with a free Vesta self-powered indoor space heater and stove by Instafire. This is where you can get your own heat in your house when the power goes out in the winter and cook your food on top and not die of carbon monoxide for free. You just need to buy the 3-month emergency food supply bundle and get $200 in survival gear, plus save over $200 on the purchase of the package. That's a $400 boom. It comes with the Instafire Vesta. You can cook all your meals and heat a whole room without electricity and save your safe and easy to use. 2,400 calorie bars. At 200 calories each, these buttery bars will keep you fueled up during a disaster, as well as when you're traveling or camping or trying to go locate supplies on your travels. It comes with a 4-in-1 flashlight radio, with weather radio. It's a crank start. It is solar powered. This will never go out for years, even when the grid's down. This is one of the #1 items you need. And Instafire waterproof matches, all free if you get the 3-month emergency food supply at Oppenheimer Ranch. You just go to preparewiththeranch.com or click the link below, and it's boom time. Also boom time is tomorrow morning, 12 noon Mountain, where Lee and I do our radio show at Revolution Radio in Studio B. Just click the Studio B play button at noon Mountain Time tomorrow and listen to the podcast and watch it at Magnetic Reversal News in the night with the videos, where we will be discussing ancient DNA and permafrost and why you don't need to be worried about some cockamamie theory of the Earth tilting on its axis. We talk about real science and not fairy tales on the podcast. And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. I hope you got something out of the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please share this video, as we are shadow banned, which means we can only grow with your help. Become a Patreon, support the work we do, or check out preparewiththeranch.com and get a survival kit, because we benefit from your purchase. Be safe. We love you. And that's a boom.